So there's a decent sized update on the Hypixel Skyblock Alpha right now, and what I want to talk about from this update is going to be the new Kuudra armor sets and just everything going on with them, because they changed basically every single Kuudra set except for Terror to have some pretty cool bonuses that are going to make them a lot more viable and at least a lot more fun when it comes to their set bonuses, because previously a lot of people weren't using any of these set bonuses, and it seems like that might change now. Also, remember to use code BANANA on the Hypixel store if you want to support the channel, if you want to keep me from going homeless, and if you want to save 5% on any Hypixel store purchase. Thank you. First, I want to talk about Aurora armor. This is the armor that I have the most invested in because I have an Infernal set here. It's not that good. I could have it be a lot better than this, but Infernal Aurora and Aurora in general is now going to have a set bonus where every 2 seconds, dealing magic damage from an ability grants 1 stack of arcane energy. At 10 stacks, it's going to reset those stacks and shoot homing missiles dealing damage. And these homing missiles, the amount of them is going to be based on your tier of armor. That's going to be a similar thing for everything here. The higher tier your armor is, the better your set bonus is actually going to be now, which was not a thing in the past. The set bonus was just a static thing, whereas now it is going to actually scale based on if you have hot, if you have burning, if you have fiery, if you have infernal. It is going to be a different set bonus that is slightly better. So the infernal set bonus here is going to fire 5 missiles that deal 5,000 damage each. Now the damage on this is kind of laughable right now. I hope that they change this a little bit, but we will show it off nonetheless. It does take some time to get stacks now because, as you saw there, it is going to take up to 2 seconds per stack. It's not going to be something that I can just gain all 10 stacks immediately for. But if you're generally like fighting stuff, having, 20 seconds in combat shouldn't be too bad. 9 stacks, and this next kill that I get should spawn some homing missiles. And you can see it's just going to shoot some missiles off and kill some enemies. It's obviously going to kill stuff down here pretty well. It also can kill something like a zealot. I believe my damage with this ends up being around 30k. I'm not really, I don't think I'm set up for mana, am I? No, I am not. So I'm not really set up for intelligence, but it's not going to scale that much higher, at least right now, because the base damage is so ridiculously low. Do I want this to be like doing a Hyperion shot every single time that it shoots a missile? I don't know, but it is definitely more fun than the old set bonus, which was basically just nothing. So now you're going to have some missiles on Aurora armor. Moving on to Hollow armor, they made it so every 1 second, up to 5 nearby players' attacks give you 1 stack of spirit. So you need to be standing near some players, and then you can use the stacks on the Hollow Wand to cast spells, and they completely changed the Hollow Wand and the spells that it has. So you can see the first spell that costs 10 stacks is going to heal yourself and all nearby players for 8% of your max HP. I assume that this is affected, by all the healing stuff, so it's going to be more than 8% whenever you use this, and it should be pretty helpful, especially for only 10 stacks. Hollowed Rush is going to grant all nearby players 1.3 times mana regen for 6 seconds, so this will help out any of your mage buddies. This Raging Wind, which costs 20, is going to grant all nearby players 30 damage and 10 ferocity for 20 seconds, and this stacks up to 3 times, so you can get a decent damage buff going for your team. And then following up with a damage buff, the Iker Pool, which costs 30 stacks, is going to spawn a pool with an 8-block radius. Anyone who stands in the pool gets 20% more damage and 40 ferocity, and the pool is going to last for 20 seconds. So Hollow is definitely going to be a lot more useful now. You can be someone who's buffing the team, you can be someone who's useful, and I'm sure in any future endgame combat scenarios and Kuudra, this should be something that is actually kind of usable. Increasing damage is good, and in any situation where you're actually going to have difficult combat, I'm sure that Hollow armor is actually going to be usable now, whereas previously it was very, very not usable because it just wasn't good. Next up, I want to talk about Crimson armor, because Crimson armor is going to be one where you really notice the set bonus scaling off of the actual like tier of the armor, because looking at my fiery crimson piece that I currently have, you can see that each stack is granting me swing range and ferocity, but an infernal piece is going to give you swing range, ferocity, and damage. It is going to give you an additive damage bonus, and this is going to be something where you don't need kills anymore to get crimson stacked up. You just need to melee any enemy, and it's going to give you a little bit of stacking. As you can see, as I'm punching here, I'm getting slightly more damage that I'm able to do, and I'm using my fist because all my weapons are like ancient and stuff, so it is randomized damage, but it's still going to have the swipe effect. It's just going to have an increase to damage built into its passive, and it is going to allow you to just use melee in order to keep the stacks up, which means that keeping stacks up during something like an Enderman boss fight or a Blaze Slayer boss fight is definitely actually possible now, whereas it previously was something where you had to kill a mob in the middle of the fight. Now, if you're in combat and hitting things with melee, you're going to be stacking dominance, you're going to be getting bonus damage, and you're going to be getting a little bit of ferocity and swing range on top of that. Last but not least, we have Fervor armor, and this is definitely not least because honestly, it probably got the biggest glow up when it comes to fun factor and just usability of the armor set. This is another one where the set bonus is going to be very noticeably better on the Infernal tier. So we'll look at Infernal first. Every 0.5 seconds, if you have the full set on, attacking a mob gives you 1 stack of Fervor. This includes shooting a mob with a bow or meleeing a mob, but it doesn't include magic damage from what I can tell. I was trying to use Hyperion, didn't stack this up, so it looks like it's limited to the physical kinds of damage. But at 10 stacks, you're going to reset your stacks and perform 2 ground pounds, dealing damage to mobs within 10 blocks. And this damage is going to scale based off your defense. If we look at a normal piece and that set bonus, it is going to be 1 ground pound and it's going to deal damage within 6 blocks. So it is definitely important to have this at Infernal if you're trying to actually use this ground pound effectively. There's also a full set bonus on Fervor now, which makes it so attacking a mob has a 50% chance to direct aggro from 3 mobs to you. So this basically makes you the tank that you've always dreamed of being. It has some great synergy, I think, with this full set bonus and this tiered bonus, because the full set bonus means that you're going to be grouping a lot of enemies around you, and then the tiered bonus means that you're going to be killing a lot of enemies around you without needing an insane amount of damage actually set up. You can set up for full tank on this set, and it should be pretty capable of dealing a big AoE boom to enemies around you. Like, look at this clip from just floor 7 of Dungeons that I went into, just to give a general vibe of the AoE that you're able to do. Now, obviously, this isn't something that's going to see use in dungeons, mainly because you can't, dungeonize any of the Crimson Isle armor sets. But I think for the future, and the same thing goes for a lot of these, especially Hollow, this is going to be a good set. When we're going to need a tank in some kind of combat situation, when we're going to have another group combat thing come out in 2028, it is going to be helpful to have someone with Fervor on your team, because they're going to be taking aggro, they're going to be tanking a lot, and then they're also going to be able to bring the boom and absolutely rock enemies with some cool ground pounds and a fun animation there. Hollow as well, going to be very useful when it comes to future content, because buffing damage and healing the team is definitely going to be useful down the road. It's just that right now, with the current level of combat that we're doing, it's not necessary. So I think that these upgrades are all really good. I think that Crimson just is going to have more uptime. I'd like to see a little bit more damage on Aurora armor, but other than that, this is just a banger when it comes to making these armor sets more unique, more fun, and more accessible to people when it comes to just choosing what to do, because honestly at this point I don't think it would matter which one you upgrade, because they all seem like they're going to be in a pretty good spot for the future. Let me know which one of these armor sets you are looking forward to trying out most when this comes onto the main server. I for sure am looking forward to at least maybe looking into getting a Fervor set going. But that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you in the next one. Peace.